Okay, so welcome to Teaching Tuesday, and I'm Medium-Richards, Renee-Richards. Have to remember my name, right? That's importante. And this is Teaching Tuesday, and today we're going to be talking about communication. So here we go. So people who are just listening, you can't really see the slides, but that's okay. So every day the world will drag you by the hand yelling, this is important, and this is important, and this is important, and you need to worry about this, and this, and this. And each day it's up to you to yank your hand back, put it on your heart, and say, no, this is what's important. So what I'm talking about is too much overload. When we're talking about connecting with our own inner guidance, and our own soul and talking to the soul and then listening, there has to be quiet. That quiet is really important. And most normal people in life actually let the world lead them around all day long. You need to do this. You have to do that. And some of that we have to do to live in this world. But what I'm talking about is pulling back and saying, there is going to be an amount of time for me that I'm going to connect the way I want to. This world is taking us all and making us what it wants us to be. And so I'm saying put the brakes on and say, no, I'm going to have my own way of communication and communicating with my higher self, and I'm going to have my own way of being in this world. And I know there are some things that we can't get away from, that we have, that we have to be part of. But we can always keep a spiritual connection, which is really important. So following your inner guidance. Every time you don't follow your inner guidance, you feel a loss of energy, a loss of power, and a sense of spiritual deadness. And that is true. What inner guidance or talking to your higher self soul moves us towards love for ourselves and others. It ultimately brings enjoyment. There is no sinking feeling that something is wrong. The body unclenches. There is a sense of clarity, excitement, and relief and undeniable knowing. So inner guidance is really important, but for some people it's really, really hard to get there. And it's really hard for some people who don't do what you need to be doing, which is the grounding and the centering, so that you can make that connection. Because grounding is really important to take our spiritual soul body and connect it into our physical body. And that, when that happens, that's a real strong connection that you're making. And it makes it easier to hear and to understand what the universe, your higher self, is trying to tell you. Your inner guidance is never ending and always there. Inner guidance is always present. The voice of this guidance may be quiet, but it is always present, guiding us to navigate the river of our lives with perfect intelligence. And you have to remember it's perfect intelligence. Are we listening, or is the inner cacophony too deafening to hear? What makes us turn away? It is not a voice in our heads telling us what we should or shouldn't do. And it really will not say you should do this or you should do that. It'll give a general. And sometimes you can actually get a yes or no. When I'm giving readings, I'm always asking, and I will get a yes or a no. And sometimes I won't. So is it not a story justifying our actions? It may not look logical. It is not what we are propelled to do out of fear or out of neediness. It cannot discern when we are clouded by strong emotions. So another thing that gets in the way is being really emotional. If you're really pissed off, or if you're just angry at the world or yourself, or if you're carrying a lot of emotional issues, this is going to get in the way until you deal with those issues. So you can't keep asking and asking and asking, and you will get some, I feel you will get some response, but it may not be what you're looking for, because the response will probably be, well, you need to do this or do that to try and let go of the anger. The biggest problem with communication, with spirit communication and readings, or with communicating with our own soul, is the world that gets in the way, the noise. When our internal experience is crowded with stories, opinions, doubt, justifications, fear, and other emotions, we aren't quiet enough to allow the truth to be heard. This is where we run into trouble. If we make decisions by listening to the noise and not the silence, these decisions come from fear and unconsciousness. We suffer the consequences. The pull of noise can be very strong, so strong that we don't even consider stopping, pausing, or inquiring into what is best or right. We blindly choose, or we opt for what seems the logical or appropriate. We take the path that fits our ideas of how things are supposed to be. We are swayed by intense emotions. Now, when you take that second to the last one there, we take the path that fits our idea of how things are supposed to be. If you have some really strong ideas in your own mind of what you believe spirituality to be, or if what you feel communication to be, you're going to have a hard time getting through that. So you're going to have to take some of that and break it down. Or if you can take it and put it in like a separate place and leave it and then deal with it later. But a lot of people have a hard time doing that. But you can take it and put it, like I put, if I'm having a judgment about something, which I'm human, I do, I take the judgment, I put it in a color, and then I set it over there. Then when I'm ready to deal with it, I can bring it out and I can say, okay, now I'm ready to look at it. And then I go into the color and I look around and saying, what is causing this? There's something that's causing it. Because it can get in the way of communication. You have to have quiet. And you have to have quiet, a couple of times a day at the least, where you can sit quietly. You don't have to meditate. I would prefer you meditate, but you could color or, I daydream a lot. I stare off into space and I'm just gone. So there's lots of ways of doing that, but quiet is really important. The more quiet you are, the more centered, the more grounded, you will start to notice that when you ask for guidance, it's there. And it will come in several different ways. It might even be your own voice. What was happening to me when I first started a long time ago and I was asking for guidance, the voice sounded like my voice, but it was much quieter, much gentler than I was at the time. And I said, well, I need a voice that I can distinguish that doesn't sound like me. And so I gave it a British accent. And I asked it to come to me with the British accent. And ever since that time, the British accent has been there. But I can feel it now, the big difference in the soul connection and the guidance that's coming to me. So it takes time to get to know yourself. It takes time to work with the soul and work with your higher self so that you can line that all up. It doesn't magically happen. It just doesn't magically happen. Some people are gifted maybe in that way. For me, it did not happen. I had to be quiet enough to listen. I knew something was up, but it was all, I had so many things in my head from child abuse, from all the things that went on when I was young, that I couldn't hear my own inner guidance, and it was driving me almost crazy. And there was times that my soul would actually take and put these clouds in front of my eyes, which would make me stop and then watch the vision. Or stop and I would be able to, that would be my quiet time and I would get information that way because apparently I wasn't listening. So, and it's really hard to listen. Nobody can give you wiser advice than yourself. You have to start small, you have to fine tune, you have to benchmark yes and no, practice trust and live in the moment. That's another thing. You know, if you're so uptight about asking something, you're not going to get the answer. You have to be in a very receptive mode, and you have to be very calm. You have to be very peaceful. If you just fight with your significant other and now you're going to come in and you're going to ask for advice, it's not going to happen because you're too emotionally wrapped up, you're too angry. It just won't work. You might get some information, but I don't know if I would trust that information. I only trust it when I know where my center is, and I have my own way of getting there. Yeah, just shut up. I like that one. Physical sensations. This decision is physically telling you with your stomach, your skin, your heart. Feeling sick to your stomach with a decision? Is your skin crawling? Your skin hurts, your heart sinks, and literally feels like your heart is sinking or drops. When that happens, you need to shut up. People talk so much nonstop, and there's some people that I talk to, and I'm like trying to help them, and they just keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I'm like, just be quiet. I can't tell them to shut up. But I just say, will you just be quiet and focus, ask, tune in, and listen and receive. It's a partnership. You're working on a partnership here. You're not demanding. You're asking. You're working together with your soul. You're making a connection. So there are certain things that you have to do, and part of that is just be quiet. Just sit there quietly. That's one of the reasons I go to bed early some nights. And, well, now I listen to Chris's show a lot, but I do go to bed about 7. I just want, to get away from everybody. And usually it's my husband and the TV, realistically. And in those moments or those quiet times when I go in my room, I shut the door, there's a lot that goes on, and that's my time to check in with my soul and to get things downloaded or explained, or let's get to work. I have something I need to do, and it has to be quiet. I don't care what you say. There will get to a point where you can check in and you can ask to connect right away, and some of that will work. 99% of the time it works for me, but there are certain times when I'm so keyed up or I'm out in too many things going on that I can't do it. So it really does mean that when you get these physical sensations, there's something not right, something is trying to tell you it's not right, and if your soul can't talk to you and can't make the communication verbally with words, it'll help you to feel it. It'll send you feelings so that you know. And there's been lots of women always ask me, well, is my husband cheating on me? I said, when you ask that question and you're being quiet, like a lot of people pray, so I say when you're doing your prayer work, I said, and you ask that question, how do you, when you ask it, what do you feel? Do you feel anything or do you think something? And they say, I feel it. I said, if you feel it, it's probably true. When you think it, that's your mind, and that could be we have all these tapes from before in our lives, in our experiences, and some even from past lives. These tapes start playing in our head, And I've heard them myself. My husband cheated on me. We've been together 20 years. Right after we first got married, believe it or not, he did for some reason. It was like maybe he thought, oh, we're married now, I can do this. And well, that was probably about the dumbest. I could feel it so strong that it almost would knock me over. And I just went to him, and of course didn't get the truth, so it makes you crazy. But I have experienced that feeling, and it is a really strong feeling. Now, throughout times in our marriage, my mind would say, because of fear, my mind would say, oh, he's doing something, and it was never true. Because I never felt it. But if I feel it, if I feel that real strong, it feels like your stomach is falling down through the middle of the earth, then I know something's up. So now it's pretty impossible to get it past me. with him. So quiet. Be quiet. Have the environment quiet. If your mind will not stop, ask it to stop. Ask it to come to a focus of quiet. This takes practice, but it does work. I talk to my mind all the time. I'll say, okay, I want you to be quiet. I'm asking my mind to be quiet. I will say, I'm asking myself to go to sleep. I'm asking myself to do a reading. I talk to myself like that all the time. And it really does work. When I ask my mind to be quiet, and then I use a focal point, which for me sometimes inside my mind and my third eye, not outside, but inside, I will use a flame burning, and that's kind of my cue to bring myself into quietness. And so I'll start with that. And that's just for me to calm myself down. Sometimes my mind just gets going. And then also there are a lot of pictures that I have loaded here that I'll show you later that also can help bring peace and quiet. And that would be at a subconscious level. Now, what I also do to know if I'm kind of in that communicative state is I get really relaxed. I do some deep breathing. And, in through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, out the mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all back on counts of 4. Then when my head will start bobbing, and I'll know I'm there. So then I go ahead and I do whatever I need to do. Less stimulants, less caffeine, less prescription drugs. TV, radio, people, the computer, all that is very stimulating. And for some people who are really sensitive like me, it can make you a little crazy. So I have to watch my caffeine. And since I quit smoking, I don't even know how many days it is now. I'm not even counting them anymore. Again, I quit smoking, but this time I'm done. I've been craving like caffeine. And so it's okay if I drink caffeine, but as I get towards the afternoon, I start to cut it back. Because if I don't, my mind will race all night long, and then pictures all night long, and people, and all this, and it just almost makes it worse. So to get quiet, less stimulants, and that can be, like I said, caffeine, prescription drugs, TV, radio, people, and okay. So, and then meditation works. I know some people can't. Also, ask emotions to leave and to quiet takes practice. I can't just say, well, your emotions leave, but you can put them in a little colored ball or jar and hold them while you're trying to connect with your inner self. So that takes practice. If you have just had a big fight with someone, we already talked about that. Ground and ground and ground. The connection to the earth helps and will start to soothe you. Grounding soothes the beast. I truly believe that. Focus gently, ask quietly, tune into yourself, your body, and listen. Takes time, doesn't happen right away. When you first start doing it, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, it's practice, it's a skill. That's all it is a skill. And it takes time for you to open. It takes time for the soul. And that's what I want you to communicate to. Your soul, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. I want inner guidance. I don't want a guide. I don't even want a master teacher at this point. I want inner guidance from you. That's the best. That's the most important. Okay. You may not get anything right at first. Keep asking. Guidance is on the way, but it has to find the best way for you to get it. And so you can actually sometimes with me, and that's the only experience I know, and then some other people say it will just come into their head. And I'm like, is it a phrase or how does it? Yeah, it's just a phrase. Or it's a sentence. And for me, like I said, I gave it a British accent for a long time so I could distinguish between me. But now I will hear it and it can be my voice, but I know the difference by the feeling. But it took a long time. Staying open to your inner guidance. You have to plug in daily, meditate just for a minute. Bada bing, you'll be right back to the zone of peacefulness, stillness inside where you can listen. Journaling is really important too. You can write things down, your thoughts and feelings, and dump them on paper and out of your head, which is good. And this allows a clearer stream of inspiration. Also, painting, creating, exercise, this helps to stay in the now instead of thinking of the past or the future, and that you are here now. To This is all that really matters. And our mind tends to go in the future. Am I going to have the money to pay this bill? Or it goes in the past. That dirty sucker did this to me, or something like that, you know. I mean, and it's hard to quiet those voices down. Now, showering or bathing in water, of course, is good. Swimming helps clear the energy and get rid of mind bombs and debris that is left by the mind bombs that we get. So, but tools also could be crystal, oils, or incense, or an object, a flower, a circle, or a picture. Spiritual books really help too. Like if you're reading about spirituality, it kind of gets you in the groove. Plus, you can pick up the vibration from the books themselves. So those are just different ways of trying to connect in. And it's up to no one else but you. Sorry. And, you know, a lot of people use divination tools, and I can't use hardly any of them. So I'm guilty. Nothing works. Divination tools I've tried the pendulum. It doesn't work. It won't even move. And I've cleared them and tried. They won't even move. I give up. But some people might be able to do that. And I would suggest getting a pendulum that works with you, that you like, a crystal or wood or even metal, whatever it is that you like. Get a yes or no chart. And after grounding and getting centered, because you still have to be quiet and you still have to be centered and you still have to go through all those things, but try that. See if that works. It's never worked for me. But that, I know some people it does work for, and I think that that's great. And actually one time I had a reading done, a long time ago by a lady who had a pendulum and did a reading with one of these charts. It was amazing. So I think there's something to that, but like I said, I was told long ago, no tools, sorry, you're out of luck. Nope, can't use anything like that. And it's been proven over and over. So not working. And of course we know the whole thing here, the tarot, the runes, the crystal balls, and all this kind of stuff, which is fine. Even a Ouija board is fine. I'm telling you, it's all your intent and what you're setting for it. Nothing, you know, if you're grounded and centered within the light, your own light, what's going to come through is going to be positive. But what happens when you do connect into something that's kind of yucky? What I connected into through the Ouija board, which was interesting, years ago, when I was probably, I think I was 13 or 12, there was a name who came through the Ouija board, and it was Donnie. So, and this was somebody who just came through and actually said hi, spelled out his name, and then something about it didn't feel right. And I remember I just put it away or something. Or we went on to my girlfriends maybe, you know, did their thing. So then years later, and I mean years later, I ended up at a mall, and they were having a little psychic fair there. And I thought, you know, it's $5 for a reading. And I hadn't had a reading since I was like about 9 years old, and that's a whole different story. But anyway, and I walked over and I said, I want a reading. And so she made up her own Ouija board. First thing that comes out is Donnie. And she says, this is a lower energy, but it's really connected to you. I'm like, well, what the heck? You know, anyway, so, and then she told me some other things, but there it was again, okay? So then years go by, and 2003, 2004, I'm up north living, and things really were just happening out of control. And all of a sudden, I see this person standing in front of me, dressed from the 17th century, and he says, he's the one that said boo in my ear and scared the hell out of me. And he says, I'm Donnie. And I start channeling this guy. And, I've loved you forever, blah, 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 all ego stuff. So I thought, you know, what is this? So I went and found this psychic medium, and I go there, and she lived way out in the middle of the woods. I remember I'm thinking, oh my God, if they're going to cut my head off, I'm going right towards it. So I get there, and the first thing out of her mouth is, oh my God, who is this obnoxious man named Donnie? And I'm like, oh, here we go again. So after all this coming up, I'm really getting off, but this is what can happen. You can end up chasing your tail. So anyway, so I'm thinking, she's saying this is a guy. She describes him exactly how I saw him, got the name, and there were some other things there too, but this was the one I was interested in. And she said, this is a guide. Then she said, no, it's not a guide. She goes, this is a lower astral guide. This is what this is. And I'm like, that didn't sit right either. Well, after all these years, and finally getting it right and figuring it out, after all this work, that's me. He's me. He's me from a different lifetime. And he's almost like, it's kind of like a splintered part of me that, and I had heard in a channeling session with my own self that I would figure this out later on to let it go. And so I did. And so what happens is I had to integrate that part of myself. So the anima and the animus, the male and the female of who we are, he is the male. And he's not very nice. He can say really mean things. He can be very arrogant. And when he pops out, if I notice that he's around, I know that I'm not centered and I'm not grounded. So he is like my barometer. So if I'm seeing him, I know something's up, that I need to do some work and get myself straightened around. So that's what he is. He is me. I am him. And I noticed that when I looked at him, there was something in the eyes that I really recognized. And it is from a lifetime from the 17th century and in France. I mean, he gave me his first and his last name. But we are not separate. We're one. And he would always tell me that. But I actually integrated him at a point within my soul through a lot of energy work. Anyway, we don't want to get into that. Okay, back we go. Sorry. How do you feel about yourself? It has a lot to do with your own communication skills to your soul and higher self for the internal guidance that you really must love the person who is looking upward, screaming for help, 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 help. But you have to come to a place where you kind of like yourself, or a lot of the negative ego of your mind is going to get in the way, right? Kick that crap out. Just adios. If you are not at peace, if you are not a place of love and acceptance of yourself, your inner guidance will see this as a disconnect, and you must have acceptance of who you are. If you are angry and mad, well, that is not the right time to listen to your eternal God, blah, blah, we went over that. Remember that communication to your higher self soul is sacred and valued, and the more grounding, harmony, clarity, connecting, centering work you do, the more you will find a channel to your inner self that has always been there waiting for you to ask. It is your holy God self waiting silently within you. It's not that it's not there. It's there in everyone. But if you don't recognize it, pay attention to it, and use it, you don't know it's there. The more that you do, the more you will start to realize your beautiful divine being that you are. But it takes work and time. Okay, so I use this picture all the time. So you can see what this is the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. It also can be used, and it connects to the third eye. So what I do is I look at this and I say the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind all connected at the third eye brought up. But I also use it as the original soul and the original spirit of who I am for my divine blueprint. So these three circles with that eye can kind of bring it all in together. And it is a way of connecting in. There's also, this is more of like a soul connection, and that's really where you want to be, is on a deeper connection for more important information. Does Johnny love me? That doesn't matter. Okay? Is my husband cheating on me? Out the door, not important. Because your personality, like Renee, the personality, or you, whoever you are, the personality, the things that are going on with the personality are not important to the soul. It just doesn't matter. So for inner guidance, it really is a higher aspect of inner guidance. If you are going to ask questions like, am I going to get this job? Or am I going to have this relationship? Then ask for it to be shown to you in a way that you'll understand. And so you might have a dream about it or something like that. And plus you could use the pendulum for a yes or no kind of question. But we really are looking for a deeper connection. So connecting to this higher self energy is the activity of becoming connected to your higher being and remaining connected through your third dimensional self. It is the power aspect, so you understand that your being is part of your God light. You are not meant to use your life force when you are working with spiritual energy. You are meant to connect into your light source and use the limitless light of universal substance. So when you're connecting into your higher self soul, everything that you do will be guided by that essence of the higher soul, of your soul. Okay, so that is why it's so important to connect in. We want the higher information. We don't want the unconscious or the mass unconsciousness. We want to connect to the soul. Now, there's a trick that I use. I ground, I center, and do the clarity thing and all that. And then I go to my soul star, which is the 8th star. And then from there I come down to my heart, to my thymus gland. Then I go up to my third eye, which is that picture with the circles and the triangle in the third eye, and I shoot the energy out. And this is the connecting point for the soul star and the heart with the third eye. So I can see clearly and I can hear clearly. So if I don't get it one way, I'm going to get it another way. But it's projecting that energy out through the third eye, from the soul star, from the heart. And that combo is an excellent combo. There's another thing I really like to do to bring light to the crown. It's called the crown infinity pattern. And I'm into esoteric, like acupressure, could be puncture. I don't put my hands on anybody. All I have to do is look at this pattern of this, and then I put it on my own head. This is the crown infinity pattern, and what this does is it brings energy to the pituitary gland light, and it is a higher soul light, and it also brings, did I say, the pineal and the pituitary together. So sometimes I will just do the smaller one in the middle, which is the 5, 6, 7, 8. And then sometimes I'll do the larger one and I'll bring it all the way. And what will start to happen with that is it does open up your 7th chakra, but also makes the communication from the 7th to the 8th chakra, it lights it up, and it also will make the top of your head tingle. It does help with communication. That's esoteric acupressure, but and sometimes I will actually take and put my fingers on my head in the pattern with my nails, and then sometimes I'll just look at it, and then it's like it's a little me in there, you know, and I do the patterns with a little me, and I go ding, ding, and or with the energy that you use. And it would be like Reiki energy, but you would be doing it in a pattern. Yeah, you can feel it doing it. It actually makes the top of your head tingle, and I've done it on poor people in my house. You know, I experiment on them, and my husband, who is, you know, anyway, I do it on his head, and I can see it light up, and I can see it. It doesn't last. I mean, if he started doing it and did it, you know, every day, and then once you do it every day for like a couple of weeks, then you can just do it once a week. But it is very powerful, and I really, really like it, and I've used that many times. why not use tools that help you? I mean, it's not going to kill you to do this. It's free to do it. Just do it. You know, I mean, nobody's going to do it for you. So you really do. So the crown infinity pattern helps with the pineal gland and the pattern on top of the head and is working with the pituitary gland in harmony. It is a pattern of light that initiates an opening within the chakra. This is the beginning of self-realization. It's about a higher realization. Sometimes to make those jumps, I guess I can't think of another word. Or to integrate some light or get some higher light going, there are things you can use. I use this esoteric acupuncture a lot. It's a gateway to expanded healing. And it goes right in line with Dual Cole, the I Am Presence teachings with Brian Gertan, because that's what I'm all about. I'm all about I Am. So, okay. Now here's this is a sacred geometry. It's the Merkaba, right? Let me see. I get so used to doing them that I forget what, when you're going to tell somebody. Yeah, it's the Merkaba. Okay, but it's also many other different things in here. It's the Merkaba, star tetrahedron, and it also has the 7 circles. And anyway, so what I want you to do with that is that you can find that online too, or you can take it from here. I don't know if you can download it or not, but it'll be in the stop it. See, I'm going to take away. It'll be in the blog. The blog. So what happens when Spirit starts talking to me is it interrupts, and then I have to push it away, and I can't even think. So what I do with this is, and I think I got this originally from Sedona Beyond the Vortex, which is an excellent book. It's a little green book, and it has all kinds of excellent pictures in it. I'm a picture person because when I look at it, I can feel it, and I can integrate it within. So what I do is I take this picture, and I take it in, and I push it up, and I'll put that in my 8th chakra, the soul star, because I have an earth star too, and so do you, but I work with mine, and I pulse it. And I pulse it, and I pulse it, and I pulse it out. As I'm pulsing that out, that is changing a vibration. It'll change a vibration in a room. You can actually clear houses with residual energy in them. You could, if I'm reading a book, maybe I bought a book used, I can pulse that and clear it. Usually I just put my hands on it and it'll clear. But I really like this. I use this many, many times. Like if I'm getting really hyper, and I'm noticing that my mind is starting to go to negativity, which is fine. Sometimes I want to be negative, and then other times I don't, so I have to bring it back, and this picture helps me bring it back. You can put it in any chakra you want. You can put it in your heart. You can put it in your throat for communication. You can put it in your third eye. And so it's very, very powerful, and I think that it is the Merkaba. A lot of us have Merkabas around us. Okay. So this didn't print right on here. And what did I do with the paper? I have it here somewhere. What did I do with it? Anyway, this is the integration. You are the center of the universe. And again, we're using acupressure. These are acupressure points. It's on the top of the head. It's at the center of the heart. And it's at the palms of the hands. So what I like to do with it, my own self, here it is I use this quite often. And you can't read what it says. It says, I'm the center of my universe. I am a force of love to all its points. I am the full dominion of love in action through me. I am the complete mastery of love over every vibration less than love. So this picture is the triangle, and so that goes also with the other picture with the third eye with the triangle, with the 3 separate minds, and the original soul, the original mind, and the original ego. And then we're looking at this picture of the triangle with the fire and the flame that is around that circle, which is the dove of peace, peace, not the peach, which is the Christ consciousness in the middle. So you're really going to think this is nutsy, but it does work. So when you look at that picture, now I'm stuck just a minute. When you look at the picture and you put your hands out, and you can sit down if you want, and you feel the energy on the top of your head at your heart and on the palms of your hands, and you just look at that picture for a minute, and it's at a subconscious level, and then you start to integrate it. When that starts to happen, when you feel it moving, then look at the picture of the fire of the flame that is around it. And then that's when you say, I am the center of my universe. I am a force of love to all its points. I am the full dominion of love in action through me. I am the complete mastery of love over every vibration less than love. And you look at the flame, that is the circle. That is a burning flame. And what you do with that fire, the energy of that fire is, as you look at it and go around, it actually is burning away psychic debris. So it's another way of clearing, actually, and to integrate light. So if I'm doing a reading with somebody that has like a lot of thought forms around them, and they're suffering from depression or maybe alcoholism, or there's a lot going on with them, right in the middle of the reading when they don't know it, I will ask my third eye to show me I am the center of my universe. And my third eye will run the program of this integration for me. That's another little secret, and it works well. Your third eye is connected to the soul, and they work hand in hand along with all your other chakras. You need to use them. So if you talk to your third eye, it doesn't mean you can do it once and it's going to work. But I will say if, like when I used to do a reading with someone and they were teaching me, and they were showing me a new energy that was coming in, and I was feeling it and experiencing it. And I would feel it for probably 2 weeks after that energy that we did that work. Then it starts to dissipate, and that's pretty normal. So, okay, Bern, yeah, you can check it out later. And so what you can do is what I do. I say, third eye, show me the information that I received with the phone call with so-and-so. And I will let my mind just go, and it takes me right back to that energy. And I can feel it just as if we're doing the energy work together. And then it will last for a certain amount of time. You can do this with anything. So that's why it's so important. When you talk to your third eye, you make sure that when you're sending it to go see something or to integrate something, that you're sending it to something good. You know, don't say, remind me, third eye, show me that argument I have, and yeah, no. We don't want to go there. We want to do the energy. And these are tools to keep you feeling that, see, there goes the phone, to keep you feeling that good energy all the time. So that's important. So third eye, show me, is very, very active and very willing to show you. Just as your soul is very willing to communicate with you. So those are all important. Okay. These people drive me, I swear. Oh, so that's that. Yeah, okay. That was the last one. So what we're talking about is inner guidance, but on different levels, right? There's the inner guidance where maybe somebody who is just a lay person, a regular person, and they want to get a little inner guidance. That will work. The smaller end of this, where it's not so much work. As you want more and more communication processes to connect with the soul, and when you start connecting to the soul and doing this type of work, and declaring that you are a co-creator with God, and the light inside of you is God. You are part of this, and you were born this way, and that this is your own birthright to accept the presence, the I am presence of the God source. So why not use it? That's what I say. Bring it into your life. When that happens, these miracles start to happen. Changes start to happen. Communication gets a lot easier, and it makes sense. You can ask for things, and then you start to receive them. But you have to be in a certain space to receive them. And it's just rising above the mass consciousness. It's rising above the lower energies up into your own higher energies. And you will be guided by your own teacher. And it's really important that you do that. So, okay. I even talked about it last time. And then I'm going to go here. Where did I do that? I'm so used to doing it, I can't remember it. About grounding, the first higher light body, harmony, the second higher light body, clarity, the third higher light body, connecting, the fourth higher light body, and centering, the fifth higher light body. Centering all those. Now remember, those are all connected from the last show was showing you how each finger was representing it, like the thumb was grounding. But when you take and you put, where's the camera? Your hand in the center of your palm, that does them all at once and will bring everything into a centering effect just by touching the center of your palm. So sometimes I'll look at a picture, like the Merkaba picture, the sacred geometry, because there's a lot more than just the Merkaba there. And I will touch the center of my palm, and it just goes zoop. It goes right up. So, okay, you guys, thank you for joining me. I know that some of this is difficult to understand. Some of it might not be. Some of it you might already know. But just remember that communication is a two-way process, and you have to stay open and you have to keep asking. So thank you so much, and I probably won't see you next week, but I'll see you the week after, okay? Thank you for being here, everybody. I really do appreciate it. And have a great week, and be careful. Sorry. Have fun. Live your life. That's how I tell people. Go out and have a good time, especially young mediums that come to me. They're always like, well, I have to do this and that. I said, my God, you're only 19 years old. Go out and have some fun. Live your life. So that's what I say to everybody. Go have a good time. Live your life. Have a great week. Good night.